we get to pack out a deer today. So that's cool. And who knows, maybe Brian will even shoot one on the way out. Get one out of here and reload our food and come right back in, try to find another one. I think one of the things that's got me excited is we noticed when we broke down my deer is he was pretty bruised up on his hind quarter. Most likely from fighting with another buck, and if there's another buck of that caliber in here, I think it's worth a look to try to find him. So there's definitely going to be something else. We've seen some other big tracks, and probably bigger tracks than what my buck was packing around. So yep, go reload on food today and come right back in, try to kill another stud buck. That's the plan.
Oh man, it's cold out here. Lips are kind of chapped.
Why? What is that, James?
It's raspberry bomb shot in a shotgun shell.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually really good. Works really good. It's better than what you got for sure.
Well, what do I have?
You got Burt's Bees. This is bomb shot. It's a little better. It tastes good too. Anything that tastes good.
Yeah, I've got Burt's, but I gotta tell you, it's not really doing a lot on the old lips.
It's made from organic bees.
It is. It's
Mine's
beeswax. I looked it up.
No, it's not like Portland.
This pack is not light, Brian.
It's got a full mule deer in there.
It does. We got a lot of miles to go today.
I just still think that chapstick has a manly quality to it, but gloves don't.
Here's the kicker.
Mm-hmm.
I got the chapstick and the gloves. So what do you think about that?
No chapstick, no gloves. I'm on that train.
Bam! Bam! The real man right here. On our way out, off of that peak, I saw what looked like a big-bodied buck. Right now, this time of year, there's every bit of a chance that we shoot another buck on the way out.
Very good chance. I mean, that where he is, where you last saw him, is right in our path to get out of here, so we could easily see him. And if that means we have to go a little slower on the hike out, then so be it. We don't have to just bomb back all these miles. But
It's gonna feel good to have that on your back.
it does. Yep, it's the perfect buck. For this country, it's extra, extra special. So, I don't know how many hours this is going to take us, but we got a lot of food back at I think I've got one bar and a Baby Bell cheese. And that's it. But we did just fill our bellies full of venison, so. Oh, but we got coolers full of food back at the trailer.
All right, well, on our way out, keeping our eyes peeled for buck number 2, but we're gonna sweat a little. We gotta march. We've got a buck and a doe up here on this skyline. Just a small fork-horn. We saw him yesterday, but we're just taking our time. We just saw a nice buck. 3 bucks up there. We bumped them. We're kind of hoping they don't go far. But he was definitely on a doe. Pretty distracted by that doe. He didn't want to leave her. He came back. He got spooked a little, and then he came back and chased off a buck and got back on his doe. So, nice deer. Great buck. This is where I saw that big buck. Over here, somewhere in this other buck. He's a shooter too. And he was right on this ridge in front of us. You see him? Ryan sees him. They're running down. See him? Yeah. Did you see it? Was he a good buck? Yeah. Was that This buck?
I think so.
I don't like it. Like, seriously? Well, that was a good buck. So, they winded us. He had another smaller 3 with him and a hot doe. And they ran to the next state. But we're gonna get up on this ridge where we saw that big frame buck go. He's the one I really want. And we're gonna see if we can pick him up again on the other side. The doe was totally hot. He was totally distracted. I mean, he got spooked and then he went right back to chasing her. So maybe we get lucky. We get over the top of this ridge, look on the other side, and they didn't go far. When he was just, as soon as he got over to the other side, he started chasing off. There was 3 other bucks with him. Good bucks. And so it's very possible. As soon as he got over to the other side, he just started chasing those bucks away and following the doe, and they just completely forget. It's also possible that they left the county and they are long, long gone. So we'll see, but this canyon's chock full of bucks and does, man. That was intense. Maybe we'll get lucky when we get on this ridge. Basically, we're gonna cross, climb up there, get to the top, and look back. We had seen them just go right over that top. So hopefully they're right on the other side.
Well, hiking out, of course, we see a couple of good bucks. One really good one. And he went up over this ridge chasing a doe. Not sure where he disappeared to, but they just tuck into these folds. It could be anywhere. But we're just gonna kind of cruise along this top here. See if we can't pick him up.
Well, I found that buck. He's over around this ridge, but I had to leave him to come back and get the guys and get my pack. I'm hoping he's still there, because he could disappear again. All right, well, we got 2 bucks. One's for sure a shooter. It's the wide one I really liked. We got eyes on him. I found him over here. He's bedded. We're gonna move in and try to kill him. Let's go, Ryan.
There's so many deer up here. We don't want to blow out anything that we couldn't see from back there, so we're gonna make sure we glass everything here. Make sure we're not missing some. There's a ton of deer in there. A ton of deer.
There's a bush right in front of us. We're gonna use that to edge in closer.
We got this bush. It's perfect. We can crawl right up. We're gonna have to get super low. He's facing. He kind of rebedded. He's looking this direction. But we're gonna be. It should be about 300 yards or so.
Yeah, 300 is what I thought. There's prickly pear everywhere. This stuff's horribly sharp and painful. You just hope it's not underneath the snow.
We gotta stay really low. Stay away from that doe and that buck. To look in this direction.
saw him. He dropped below the crest of the hill, so we couldn't see him after I shot him. And right now, we never saw him leave the basin. We think there's a dead buck right over here, but we haven't seen him yet. So Ryan crossed over to the other side so he could get eyes and look across. And I'm right here where the buck was. And I'm just keeping an eye out. If he stands up, it's another 200 or 300 yard shot, and I should smash him. But I think he's dead. We just gotta find him. I don't want to risk bumping him if I didn't make a solid shot. This is the part that always makes you feel a little sick inside. I like to see him go down right in front of you. So hopefully he's done for. But way back there.
Let's go grab our packs and do a little night breakdown, and then we gotta find us a flat spot to pitch our tent. Eat some more deer.
Well, James, what have you been doing while we're...
I was just sitting here listening. Listening to the coyotes and the owls and...
Well, James, he's dead.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
Nice.
He's a nice buck.
Nice buck.
Yeah, he was down there a ways though. We were like, we gotta turn back and get our gear and reunite with you.
Yeah, no, dude, congrats.
Thanks for
man.
filming,
Awesome.
man. That was cool.
That's awesome. Did you see when you were glassing down below on that ridge, there was a buck staring right at you?
Yeah.
12 o'clock.
Yeah.
I was glassing you and I could see that buck was just like standing there.
Yeah, I watched him for a while. He's a nice buck. There was that one in the bottom that looked heavy with some crabby pinchers. Never did see him. Don't know how big he really was, but he looked big to me. He looked heavy. But this buck, my buck, he's just wide. He didn't have a lot of tine length. He's not super deep forked or anything, but he's just wide.
Really?
He's got a beautiful frame. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I think he's just a 3x4 with eye guards.
Yep, with beautiful eye guards.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
Love eye guards.
So, yeah.
Sweet. Well, congrats, man. I was kind of wondering what happened.
It's nice. We're wrapped up now. We just got to get down there, store your buck up here because we're halfway back to civilization, and then
zigzagging all over the mountain tonight.
Yeah, be a lot of night hiking. It's all right.
I expect nothing less.
These trees are prickly. That'll do.
Here it is, James. Body sucker. What a brute.
Oh wow.
Oh, yes.
He is wide.
Yeah. Now you were saying you've seen a buck like this.
Yeah, last year I saw a
think it's him. He's big and wide and old.
Yeah, he's heavy too. He's
Kind of crabby.
yeah.
And,
Yeah, he is wide. He's the biggest bodied buck I've seen, I think, out here so far. Not that I've got a good view of them all yet, but
look at that thing. What a cool. Those guards just make him extra. That make that thing look extra special. That whole buck.
the first thing I saw when I saw him up there, I was like, okay, his neck and shoulders, he's just a lot bigger. Because there was 4 bucks.
And he's got a huge
With him?
track, like bigger track than most of these bucks back here.
And there were a bunch of bucks with him and he was on a hot doe. He didn't want to leave her. He was all about her. He was the boss, you could tell. And he got away from us, and then found and relocated him again. But when I was looking at him over there with all those other bucks, you could just tell right away that he was old. His body, he's just in another class. I was looking at his rack and I knew he was a 3x4, and I was like, he's not like a high scoring buck, but I was like, that frame and the age did it for me. It's just really cool. I haven't seen, very many bucks out here this wide.
No, that is exceptional.
I've seen some boxy ones,
Mm-hmm.
like yours. I've seen some with some mass.
That are like right at the ears, they're 23, 24.
But this guy, dude, what a freaking stud.
The bigger bodied bucks.
That neck. Well, let's, I'll gut him, and then we'll get back on him in the morning. Set up camp. Nice public land muley.
Boy, he's pushing 29 inches. Yeah, he's probably right there at 29-inch wide.
Nice.
Golly.
That's cool, man.
With guards, Brian.
Pretty.
That's pretty. Great buck.
I love old bucks.
Yeah.
Well, got his guts out and pulled the heart and the tenderloins out for dinner tonight, since we don't have any food. We all ran out of food this morning, well, basically last night, and we only ate deer meat today, expecting to pack Ryan's buck out, but then we got my buck, so we're on all deer diet right now. And then we'll finish breaking them down in the morning, and we'll pack them out.
Did you get that on camera?
That was all man right there.
I'm not gonna cut it out.
Careful, that's how you lose a nut.
I'll hurt my foot on the next one.
Oh, I love fire. There's one meat stick.
It's a good looking heart. All right.
Well, Mama told me when I was young, said sit beside me, my only son, and listen closely.
Oh man, that's good.
They're gonna like that.
I love heart.
take your time. Don't live too fast. Troubles will come and they will pass. You'll find a woman and you'll find love. And don't forget that there is a someone up above. And be a simple kind of man. Be something you love and understand. Baby, be a simple kind of man. Oh, won't you do this for me, son, if you can?
What's for breakfast, boys?
Nothing.
No.
Coffee.
Coffee. Lots of it. And melted snow. And fresh deer. A little breezy out there today. Good fire. Figured it would take a while to find a couple of really mature quality bucks. Usually this country, this open stuff out here, is you really gotta look at a lot of different deer to usually find the real old mature ones. They just get shot and they just don't have that age class. But somehow, some way, we found two old Crusties that everything we could have asked for. I think one of those bucks is just the one you got, Brian, last night was like a 29-inch, just giant. And then that old crazy horn one that I got, both old bucks. So really couldn't be happier. Which again, I figured it would take us 10 days at least to find a couple like that. So we're way ahead of the curve. Now we're gonna try to pack it out, and we've got one more hunt, and that's with my daughter, and we'll see how that one goes. We've had some good weather days on this hunt, like yesterday, and then some real cruddy, windy. Today feels like it's just gonna be a blustery mess out there, but weather's been cold, really cold at night, and then decent yesterday. It must have been 50 degrees out yesterday, so you don't expect those kind of days, but
Had worse. For sure. You've stuck me with worse.
so yeah, the wind is pretty relentless out here. You just expect it. You're hoping it's 10 knots and not 30, but it's usually pretty constant. It's actually surprising if you get a day without wind out here. It's open plains. So
My worst pack out with you is Tar, New Zealand. Head Cape, all the meat, horns. I don't know what that thing was. That was just one hell of a load. I walked like this the whole time.
I don't know. I haven't had any issues with a teepee collapsing coming down. You got the center pole, and we just stake everything out really well. Now out here, there's no rocks, but it's got this mud to it, and the mud holds those stakes really well. So we're not able to rock it at all. But like this red cliff, I don't know how many guy outs it's got. We've probably got it guyed out in 4 different places, 10, 12 stakes down. So it holds up really, really well. And if you can find a spot out of the wind, great, but usually some of the flat spots aren't out of the wind. We've kind of been 50-50 on this one, so right now it's not gusting too much. It's a little breezy out there, but yeah, no worries. I have no worries about these teepee style tents holding up in the wind. I've just never had one collapse on me, as long as you stake it right.
Anything else just feels fine now. That one with Brad this year was bad too. The elk, 140 pounds. He carried 160. This isn't bad. What do you think, Ryan?
Looks good. Looks good.
Victory!
2 big public land bucks. Love it.
Time to sweat. And burgers and fries.
That's right.
Being as this is one more public land hunt, you know, usually these areas they get looked at a lot. It's all public land. Everybody can be out in these places, and so typically what I've found is you just got to go a little harder, go a little farther, glass your eyeballs off, and just put in more time than everybody else. For some reason, especially in open country, a lot of guys get trapped in their vehicles. They pull out to a ridge and they glass, or they get off their quad and they glass, and they back on and they're moving. And you know, kind of what we've seen with this trip is you really got to get in to the country, and that's why we just live back here off our backs. I don't know a whole lot of folks treat this type of country like this, but that's what we do, and I think that's why we're able to typically find older age class bucks. You know, these areas, like I said in the beginning, usually you'll have to look at 100 bucks because there's no shortage of deer, but you might have to look at 100 bucks before you find a real old giant that you know, just covering country and finding those little nooks and crannies that hold a big one. That's kind of the goal in this country that we're in. Glassing. It's all about glassing and just being diligent. Deer up and down this time of year. You know, we're mid-ish November, so you expect them to be rutting. Some days are better than others with the weather. You know, when the wind's blowing, they typically just stay down on the leeward side of whatever mountain that ridge is blown against. Sometimes they're hard to find, but you know, I think with the weather, we'll have days like unexpected days. Usually you want cold nights, frozen, and those bucks, sometimes they're rutting all day long. Yesterday, we had a day that kind of finally broke, and it actually warmed up a little bit. And I think we saw more bucks yesterday than we've seen every day we've been out here. They were everywhere. They were rutting hard. And these bucks are starting to get a little tired. Both our bucks were so sleepy, we actually picked them up in their beds, and they putting their heads down, napping, just tired from an all-night rut. So yeah, it's what's cool. It's why I love this country and this time of year in this place. Is you usually get to see a lot of action, a lot of bucks just doing their thing, lip curling, chasing does. You know, not paying attention as much, but yeah, it's just overall it's a really fun trip. And when you get weather like this, you never know. We've had days 20 below, 30 below in this type country, and they can come in really quick, and those can get a little miserable. But you know, we always carve off 10 days just for the fact you're going to have a couple few in there that are solid. And so far we've had some really good, couple of good days amongst the 5 that we've been out here, which is about right. So
we're packing out here, and we sat down for a little break, and Ryan started going through video of deer last year, and he said there was a really wide buck, and you were kind of saying like yesterday, you're like, you thought you might recognize him.
yeah.
Check this out.
Yeah, I'm looking at the same exact buck from last year, and he's I was really having a hard time not shooting this buck last year because he's just a giant. But I had seen a different one, and I was completely focused on him, even though I made 2 stalks in on this buck, and I was just starting to squeeze, and I just let off, and I wanted to make sure I went with the buck that I'd seen first, and he had he was just a really cool buck. But yeah, I got video of him right here. Look at how wide he is. This big old 3x4 last year too.
Would you say he's bigger this year or last year?
I don't know. I don't know.
A little bigger last year.
Last year I figured he was probably a 30. This one's real close, you know, so it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. They look so similar, but yeah, it's funny. He was only probably a mile away from here when I picked him up last year. Great buck.
Wow, that video is cool as he's walking away. Same buck, 3x4 with eye guards.
Yep.
When we were coming into this hunt on the way here, Ryan popped that video up and showed it to James, and I leaned over while I was driving and I looked at that and I was like, you didn't shoot that buck? You didn't shoot that? You're something else, man. I was like, what'd I say? I go, I'm shooting that buck.
I shoot that buck.
I shoot that buck.
How crazy is it that this ends up being the buck we got? That's weird, huh? I mean, he's just a giant roaming this little core area here, so super cool. There's no way he could have got bigger last year. He's got to be starting to go back the other way. He's just so old.
Can I see that video again? Got the same dates. Yeah, that's him, dude. Right?
Yeah. Three on his right, eye guards, 4 on his left. Really wide.
He looks a little bigger last year, but could be he's walking away.
Yeah, I saw him from a bunch of different angles. You know, honestly, like the other buck I was going for had nice long tines and some stickers.
Mm-hmm.
This one had the crabby up front, but he was an old buck last year. You know.
Yeah, he looked a little deeper forked last year than he is this year. Same frame, same everything, same formation, but he's just got deeper forks, I think.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
I don't know. It's close. We'll have to pull it up on the computer and
zoom
really
in,
look at it. But I watched that buck for several different days, probably 3 separate days.
It's the same buck, dude. It's the same buck.
It's crazy.
Wild. He's just awesome. So different from Ryan's buck, you know, the buck you just shot. He's got all that junk and mass and stickers. But is he just at his ears or just inside?
Gosh, I'll have to look at him again. He's out past the ears on the top because of those kickers and how it flares. Right. But yeah, he's not this swooping classic mule deer like this one is. He's not that boxy look either. He's kind of like, he goes out and then it just crowns and you get all this mass and trash up there. It's real unique. You don't find those once in a lifetime type bucks, especially out in this country. They're really hard to locate. But
yeah,
when you find one, you better put your focus on him. So one of the things that we do in this type country, public lands, you know, there's roads almost everywhere. So we try to get off those as much as we can. We just find little spots that are, you know, at least 3 to 5 miles off of any road where guys are looking. You don't have to be that far, but we go as deep as we can. So this time of year we always have the stove. This time we have the big Red Cliff, Seek Outside Red Cliff. 3 guys. We knew it's going to be cold, so we brought the bigger stove. This is the SXL stove. Wood was going to be the challenge. I think I told you guys going in that it was tough to find wood out here because there's no trees. There's little cedars and a couple of junipers here and there, but that's about it. So pretty much the only places you find wood are down in these cuts where there's you know, a couple of dead cedars. But yeah, this is definitely the preferred way to go out here. Keep everything on your back. Still running these Dyneema Seek shelters, and they're so lightweight that this thing is massive, and we're all comfortable in here with 3 guys. and we've got a giant pile of firewood, plenty of room, really comfortable. And if the weather does pin you down out here for a day or two, it's not a big deal, especially when you have the stove. But yeah, we just treat this hunt like any wilderness backcountry type hunt where you're going in and the goal is to get away from folks and look at critters that just aren't getting looked at or haven't been looked at for years.
You know what did it for me on this buck was when we spotted him the very first time. There was 3 bucks, and you saw that mega 2.
Yeah.
And there was this giant fork buck that was, I mean, for a forked horn, just a mega fork, which is always cool because they're so unique. And we were looking at that buck, and then all of a sudden, from below, there's a doe, 3 bucks, maybe another doe. There was a gaggle of deer, and then this guy just kind of popped up, and then turned and looked down the hill, and his neck and shoulders and his white face. I was like, okay, that's an old buck. And he just looked down. I'm like, he's not deep tined, but look at that. Look at that frame. And you just knew he was old. And then when you saw him in perspective, because it's hard to tell how big a deer is, but when you see him next to a doe or another buck that's pretty old and he just is so much bigger, that perspective, you were able to see it, and you're like,
the color of the bodies on these old ones is gray. It's whole body. He looks like a kind of like a high mountain buck, you know, big old buck that lives up in the tops. We used to find, you know, 250, 275 pound mule deer in Washington up in the north, you know, north country, way high. And that's the same look that this buck's got. He's got that gray all the way through, which is unique out here. When they've got that gray face, Roman nose, heavy bases, sometimes they get a little spindly up top, but the heavy bases and brow tines, that's all you can ask for. Like I mentioned, finding wood is always a struggle in these type places. Fortunately, the wood you find out here, when you do find some old cedars that have died, they're weathered, because this place gets beaten down with wind and weather and cold. And so they're extremely dry. They're very, you know, hardened wood, hard to break branches off, actually. So one thing I do is I always pack a saw on these type hunts. There's areas, alpine type areas, where you don't need a saw. You can just use your foot, snap branches. But out here, this wood is so bone dry that it's really hard to break, and it's just tough and dense. And so I just bring this little collapsible saw, and I don't think we'd be warm right now if we didn't have the saw. There's no way we'd be breaking branches big enough. And that's the thing, you know, we've got a bunch of small stuff that you can always typically get, but these stoves, if you just want to, you know, fill it and walk away and just not have to keep filling it, we get these pieces of wood that are, you know, 3-4 inches in diameter. We got this type stuff, and it's just, this thing burns. It's just a really hard wood. And so without the saw, we're not getting this, and we're burning twigs and just constantly feeding that fire. So definitely it's a must to have a saw out here. Fortunately, we grabbed it. We almost didn't, but
Ryan's saw is ghetto, by the way. I think he's had it 20 years or something. It looks like from 1985. It looks like Body Glove, like the logo. What's it called? Like
Sawviver.
Sawviver. Yeah. It has a nice 80s feel to it.
Great.
But it's time for a new saw, because it finally broke a little bit. It's still working.
Yeah. Still works.
But it's a hazard.
Yeah, I've had that saw. I was actually thinking I've probably had that saw at least 25 years. Thinking back to some old Idaho trips where I used to pack it in with me. So yeah, she's old, but it's done good. It's got really good teeth on it too, so it buzzes through this stuff in no time, where a lot of saws wouldn't. All right, back to the meat tree. Grab my buck, load them both up,
Still got a lot of miles left in the day, but 2 bucks on our back now.
Well, time to load up. We got 2 mule deer between the 3 of us in camp. It's gonna be a rough hike out. Is it mostly downhill?
Not at all.
It's almost all uphill. Oh well. Here we go. Oh, well, it's getting late, but we're only like 3 miles from the truck. We made good time. Looks like, whew. This pack is heavy though. My legs and hips are burning. But hallelujah, the truck is close. You can almost see it just over this hill. Still miles away, but it's a little white dot. Hey folks, I hope you guys enjoyed that gritty film. This YouTube channel is exclusively hunt films. There's no other content published here. So if you like this video and you want to see more like it, make sure you subscribe to this channel if you have not already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a gritty film production. And if you want to see more behind the scenes gear discussions and other podcast content, check out our other YouTube channel, Gritty Gear and Podcast. And for gritty discounts, events, and merch, check out our website at briancall.com.